Joining me today is Commissioner John Nagle. John, thanks for joining me here. And John, maybe just want to talk about a little bit, the ward you represent and how long you've been doing this.
Okay. Well, I got elected 4 years ago, right before you came. I was elected to fill an unexpired term, or an expired term from Lisa Hale, who unfortunately passed at an early age recently. And then I got reelected 2 years later, so I've been in office for 4 years total. And the 5th Ward, as you know, is the strip across the bottom of the town. I call it the bottom, southern border of the township. Almost entirely residential, including apartment residences. So interestingly, contrary to what has been suggested by another commissioner, my ward's one of the higher taxed wards based on residential taxation, if you don't include commercial. We do have a little commercial area with a Wawa and a hoagie shop, cleaners, that kind of stuff. And we also have the historic Whitehall Station, which dates back from the Columbia Railroad, and President Lincoln's body was transported right past there when the funeral train.
Oh.
So it's kind of interesting.
Sure. Now, John, before then, you were involved with the township.
Oh, I served 13 years on Parks and Rec, again, an unexpired term and 2 full terms. And I also was on the Environmental Advisory Committee, and in fact, I was the first chair of the Environmental Advisory Committee for 3 years. And it was a few years after I finished that up that I was elected. I ran for election quite a few times, lost by 7 one time, by 2 one time, and then 1. So you have to stick to it if you believe in it.
Sure. So you're familiar with the township and all the different development that's taken place around the township?
Probably with the exception of Bill Spengler, I probably know more about the layout of the township and what's going on than the other commissioners. Just because of the opportunities I've had.
So a lot of the history of kind of where things were and where they are now, and I know a lot of what you're interested in too is preserving that history of the township. And
right. And what I have a unique perspective, I think, compared to some folks, is that 20 years ago, let's say, things like our parks, in my opinion, were in much better condition. And one of the ways over the years that we managed to keep expenditures down, under that mantra of I'm not going to raise your taxes, is we took money out of the parks. We didn't maintain the Willows. We didn't maintain Kreutzberg. Didn't do infrastructure improvements. We've seen it with our sewers and the sanitary sewers and the storm sewers. So now we're paying for it. It's come home, but I got to see that stuff, whereas for others they hear about it.
And some of those issues now are being addressed by the board and have been addressed, not only those issues, but also some of the other long-term liabilities of the township.
Well, I think it's safe to say that most folks in this township had no clue of the unfunded liabilities that we had. In fact, I don't think if, what's the Accounting Practices Board, if they hadn't identified that as...
Or the CBFAC originally?
No, I'm talking about the one that sets the rules, like not GFOA, but Gatsby. If they hadn't changed their rules, I don't think a lot of people in a lot of places would have understood the crisis.
And that's just something that's not just unique to us, that's across the entire country.
And the reality is while it looks and sounds like a big number, we're in great shape compared to a lot of places, including the state of Pennsylvania and even the Radnor Township School District.
And those are some of the priorities that the board is to start to put in place, is addressing those.
I think this board has been very focused on finances. And that was one of the reasons we created CBFAC and then CARFAC. We understood that the financial health of the township, without the financial health of the township, we can't do all the other wonderful things we want to do and all the necessary things we want to do. So it's been quite a challenge.
Now, what are some of the issues you see the board, having to work with coming up here?
in the future?
In the near future.
Well, we're certainly not out of the woods yet. So we have, especially on capital and infrastructure stuff, that's as big a number probably as the unfunded liabilities. But again, we've put mechanisms in place to try to address that. For some reason in the past, we would never use advertisers. I mean, for several years when I was on Parks Board, I tried to get approval for allowing the Little League to, get money from someone who wanted to put signs in the outfield. Not in Radnor. We don't do that in Radnor. Well, we were missing quite an opportunity, and now I don't know what the percentage is, but there's a lot of things we have because we're doing that. Many of these special events, the community events, it makes sense. We have to take advantage where opportunities exist.
Well, good. Anything in your ward? I know that you send an email out a lot to your residents to kind of keep them informed.
Well, my ward's kind of unique in that for years it's been said that we're not really part of Radnor. And it's just where we sit. One side of Sproul Road, folks consider us to be part of Haverford. The other side, you're part of Newtown Square. And it's funny that even some residents feel that way. When I've campaigned, I've actually had people that didn't know they lived in Radnor Township. And this is the case where they don't have any kids in the school district, and they don't pay their taxes. Their accountant pays their taxes. They thought they were in Bryn Mawr or Newtown Square or Broomall, and it was like, no. Early on, I don't know if you were here yet. We had the issue with the post office box for the Broomall.
Yes, okay.
There were 60 or 70 houses over there that had a Broomall address and zip code, and Joe Sestak was the congressman at that time. So they got a petition together, and I delivered it to Joe, and we got their name changed. It's Radnor 19008 rather than Broomall 19008. Their concern certainly was correct. The value of their houses increased. Of course, so did the bills from their plumbers and lawn care companies. But that's okay. Trade-offs.
Good.
But the ward itself is, we don't have a true park. We have the 5th Ward Park that we've never done anything with, and I've written at least 2 grants over the years to try to. That's really a great nature park. You won't do anything else in there. It's wet, so for a boardwalk path, and we had actually had the middle school kids in there a couple times doing water samples and looking at vegetation. So it's a perfect spot for that. We border Ithan Valley Park, which after many years of trying, we finally got interest in. There's a group that's working in there and already doing a lot of positive things. We have 2 pocket parks. One on Brook Street, which is named after Richard Allen, who was the preacher for Mother Bethel, and really started the AME Church. And then also a small one on Petrie, which was like a great result for the wrong reason. There was a house full of kids. The guy rented them out. They were always bad, never under control. So we just bought the house, tore it down, and built a little pocket park. I said the ultimate result was great, but is that the way we want to do things? The real source of a lot of problems in our ward is traffic, which is everywhere. We have a lot of cut-through places that people use for the intersection of 320 and Bryn Mawr Avenue, and we have issues with student housing. So,
well, got a full plate ahead here from the board and for the township.
There's an awful lot to be done yet. There's things that have just laid for years that we need to address, and I think we're trying to. We did get the charter change done. That was absolutely absurd. The charter hadn't been changed since 1970 something. Didn't have some of the things I'd like to see in it, but it was still a good effort, and it was done the right way. one of the things that I ran on many times was a lack of transparency. I think some people would suggest we're almost too transparent these days. But if you don't know what's going on in Radnor Township, it's your own fault. It's not because somebody's hiding something from me.
Right, right. Well, John, well, thank you very much for joining me today.
You bet.
And I'm sure we'll have you back here in future episodes.
And you can come on my show on Channel 21.
Well, that sounds great. We'll do.
Thank you.
Thanks. Joining me now is Lieutenant Andy Block. Andy, thank you for joining me.
It's a pleasure to be here, sir.
Thanks.
Thanks
Andy,
for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Andy, if you can, just tell us a little bit about yourself, how long you've been with the police department, and your current role as lieutenant.
Sure. I've been with Radnor Township. I've just completed 24 years as of May 15th. It's been an unbelievable 24 years. You blink your eyes. It just seems like the other day I started, as a rookie patrol officer. I've worked my way up through the ranks and currently hold the position of lieutenant. I'm in charge of the Special Operations Unit right now, which includes the Traffic Safety Unit, the Highway Patrol, the Detective Bureau, the Drug Task Force, and the SWAT officers. So it's a very, very busy assignment. I enjoy it. There's never, 2 days are never the same. So it's just phenomenal. And we have just the officers that work here within this township, and all the employees they're phenomenal people. They always come through. They always rise to the occasion, whatever the assignment or crisis may be. So I feel I'm truly blessed to be able to work amongst such great people in Radnor Township.
Well, I know when you mentioned about the other officers, there's a lot of training that goes into that. Maybe you just want to touch a little bit about how well our officers are trained?
Absolutely, and thanks for bringing that up. From day one, our officers go through what's known as the Field Training Officers Program, which is a 15-week program. Regardless of what prior experiences they've had, when they come to Radnor Township, we kind of reset them and start them from day one on the basic training. So they learn all about our policy and procedure. Some of it is painstaking, but it's very important. So they go through that policy procedure, they go through their firearms training, their use of force training, and then they're paired up with FTOs for a period of just about 14 weeks on the street. So they observe first, then they do what an officer does, and then they go through their final evaluation. In fact, we just had officers Lafredo and Gallagher complete the FTO program, so now they're assigned as solo officers to sectors. So that's the first part of our training, but our training is so much further than that. We're ingrained in the Safe Schools training. We have a lot of evolutions coming up in June for the Safe Schools training, our firearms training, in addition to our patrol rifle training. The Highway Patrol goes through all different types of training with the motorcycles. We just recently had the addition of our K9 unit, so those officers are going through their formal training right now. And we do informal training too. We do roll call training here from time to time, and we do send our officers out to different seminars throughout the region. So I believe that's part of our success here in Radnor Township, the training that our officers receive on a daily and an annual basis. That it really helps them to further develop their professional development, and in addition to that, it helps us too, on the liability end of things. So we are definitely committed to training our people to the highest standard.
And that's something you think really sets us apart from other communities, that training? And
yeah, absolutely. I'll use our Highway Patrol and our Traffic Safety Unit as an example. They go out, and part of their assignments are on a daily basis are the speed checks. They do a lot of enforcement. We're very fortunate. We've also received federal and state grants to do some of this enforcement. So they're writing a fair amount of citations each day. It's not uncommon for them to come in with 50, 60 citations issued for speeding violations. It's rare that we ever even receive a complaint with respect to that. So the interaction with the public is unbelievable, even though it's a situation where some people are very upset, they're angry, they're agitated because they were stopped. Our officers rise to the level of having that professionalism where there's never a complaint. So I do believe that sets us apart, simply because of the professional development here is second to none.
And some of that with traffic enforcement, just use that. If residents have a concern with speed on their streets or any of those types of situations, parking or that's something they can reach out to the police department?
Absolutely. They can call the main number, 610-688-0503. Ask for me or ask for an officer. We'll absolutely address it. Like I said, I have the responsibility for the Highway Patrol and the Traffic Safety Unit, so they can reach me directly. We'll have an officer assigned to address the problems. If it's speed enforcement, we're more than happy to come out and do the enforcement on your streets. So we're here. We're all about the service.
And one of the other things I know that we hear a lot, residents sometimes have concerns, they notice something, but they don't want to call or they're afraid to call. And that's something we encourage
Absolutely. They usually tell us that they don't want to bother us. We want to be bothered. We're here. That's what we're here for. We're all about being bothered. We want to know when it's happening at the time, because so many times people will say that, I didn't want to bother you, but last night I heard this, and they're calling a day later. We want to know immediately when it's happening. It makes it much easier for us to come and investigate it, find out if there is actually some type of criminal situation that's going on, something that was suspicious, so we can, you know, talk to the people who are involved, and if so, make an arrest on it, rather than trying to follow up with limited information afterwards. So at the end of the day, yes, we absolutely want to be bothered. That's part of our job. We enjoy that. That's what we're here for.
Well, good. Well, Andy, thank you very much for joining me, and I'm sure we'll have you back here sometime soon.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you. Have a great afternoon.
You too. Joining me now is Bob Hale. Bob is our IT person here for the Township.
Coordinator.
Bob, thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
Maybe just talk a little bit about what you do for the Township.
Well, I'm in charge of all the computers, printers, hardware, software that the Township uses here in the building. Also over the Public Works building, Police Department, the PCs in the cars. I also do a little bit of the building maintenance and upkeep, and I keep busy.
Mm-hmm. And you keep all the systems running, so people who use email
system,
our website, all the communications.
Website, I update the website, the network,
the Code Red.
The Code Red, the messages that go out to the community.
And the Code Red has been such a huge success in the Township with some of the storms we've had.
Very positive feedback coming back with it.
Where can people register for that?
They can go onto the website. At the bottom of the website, there's a Code Red link. You click on that. It'll explain about the program, and from there they can sign up by entering their address and telephone numbers they would like to be contacted on, and email, and we also text, so mobile phones are also good to put in.
Well, Bob, I want to thank you for keeping all the infrastructure. You're one of the people that are behind the scenes that make this operation work and communicate with our residents.
Appreciate it.
Well, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
All right, joining me now are two of our staff members from our Community Development and Codes Division, Ray Daly and Bill Miller. Thanks for being here. Ken, do you guys just want to tell us a little bit about yourselves, how long you've been with the Township and what you do? Ray, we'll start with you.
I'll go first. My name is Ray Daly. I've been with Radnor Township since '05. I am a building inspector and a fire code official, or commonly known as the fire marshal for Radnor Township.
Bill?
Okay, my name is Bill Miller. I've been with Radnor Township about 14 years. I'm a code official with Radnor Township. I do building inspections, plan reviews.
And these are two people that you'll probably see if you come into the building, or you see them around the Township or on your property if you're having work done, or in businesses. These are the two individuals that you will see, and they do a great job for the Township. So I want to thank you for being part of the program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, joining me now is Laura Missanelli. Laura, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
You are one of our newest staff members here. Maybe just talk a little bit about yourself and how long you've been with the Township and what your current role is.
Sure. I work in the Recreation Department. I started in September of just 2013, so I really am still new. Some of my hobbies are volleyball. I love hanging out with my family and friends. I was recently engaged, so I'm currently wedding planning. And I'm from Havertown, so I'm only a couple minutes away.
And in your role, what is it that's involved in the role that you're in?
Sure. I help to program and I help to put on the events here at the Township. We have some really awesome events, so it's been a pleasure to be a part of them. I also help to market for our department, and I help put together e-blasts to make sure everyone is aware of what's going on in the Township.
Good. And you're one of the first people that if anybody comes into the building, they'll see. Mm-hmm. So Laura's one of those friendly faces here that when you come into the Township, you'll recognize her and know that any questions that you have regarding recreation or any of the programs, they can talk to you.
Absolutely. I'm glad to help.
Great. Well, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
And one of our next staff members, Sue Jones, is joining me now. Sue is in our engineering department. So again, in our efforts to try to introduce you to a lot of the staff people that you'll either speak to on the phone or stop in and see, Sue is one of those individuals who works in our engineering department. Sue, thanks for joining me here.
Thank you.
If you just tell me a little bit about how long you've been with the Township, what you do, and who you're involved with.
I've been here for 15 years. in the engineering department, which is your grading permits, when you're going to dig in the dirt or add anything, increases to your home or any property, if you're going to increase anything. I'm the start. After me, then you go to the building department. We have the sewage enforcement, your septic system permits come through our department. Shade tree. Big things, shade tree. Don't cut down any trees until you call me. It'll save a lot of problems. Subdivision, land development, highway permits, if you're going to cut the road for any reason or close a road for any reason, add new driveways, anything from that point of start of construction starts in our department.
If there's any questions people have, they can call you or email you.
610-688-5600. My extension's 133, and my email address is sjones@radnor.org.
Great. Well, thank you, Sue, for joining us.
Thank you.
And when you stop in the building, Sue will be one of the individuals that you'll be able to see, and she's done a nice job for Radnor Township. Thank you. Well, thanks. Welcome back. And joining me now is Bob Tate, who is our Assistant Finance Director, also known as our Human Resources Director. Bob, thanks for joining me.
Thank you.
Bob, maybe if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and how long you've been with the township and what the various areas you handle.
Sure. I'm a Drexel graduate, majored in accounting and HR, I'm a CPA, and got into government a little later in life, about 7 years ago, and came to Radnor 2 years ago. And it's been a great experience. Wonderful working in my capacity. I get to see both the finance and the human resources aspects, and having some experience and background in that, I hope I'm bringing something to the township that's helpful and working in a positive direction, and it's been a lot of fun. In the finance side, primarily I'm working with the Act 511 taxes. That's a big part of the job. And our goal really is just the uniformity in compliance and enforcement. And it's a great experience working with the businesses and working with the entire Radnor community. And from an HR perspective, it's been wonderful. We have a great team of people here, and it's a great experience interacting with so many different people at different levels, and just trying to make this the best place for people to work.
Great. And as part of your role too is under the assistant finance directors, and you handle and work with the audits that come through, and also you are involved with CARFAC too?
Very much involved with CARFAC. We meet once a month. CARFAC has been has played an integral role in accomplishing many of the initiatives of the township in terms of finance and getting their guidance and perspective on a lot of what we do. As far as the audit goes, they're also involved with the audit, and this time of year we're very busy with audit, so I do help with the other staff members in the department to really kind of close the books and get everything prepared for the auditors. So from now to June 30th, it's all hands on deck, going through the audit, get the financial statements prepared, and finish up with our comprehensive annual financial report.
Oh, good. And on the HR side, I know you're involved with some different projects that are going on right now.
Currently we're working on the handbook. So that's an update. It's hasn't been done in a number of years, and we do have the draft version that's been we're now going through and reviewing. And once we get through and everything's been finalized, looking forward to having that adopted in 2014 for the township.
Well, Bob, thank you very much for joining me and being part of this program, and I'm sure you'll be back on again sometime soon.
Looking forward to it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well, joining me now are two members of our finance department, Ben and Melissa. Thank you very much for joining me.
You're welcome.
If you can, just tell me a little bit about yourself, how long you've been with the township, and what you do, what your roles are.
I've been with the finance department since September of 11. Before that, the summer before that, I was writing tickets for the police department, and my title is the Expenditure Coordinator. I handle all the accounts payables as well as assist with every other aspect of the finance department.
So kind of where you're situated, you're the first person to contact when residents come in.
I'm the face of the finance department.
Okay, very good.
Everyone gets to see my smiley face and spiky hair as they come up.
Melissa.
Sure. I've actually been with the township for 18 years this August.
Wow.
Full-time, and I actually worked here for 2 years part-time when I was attending Villanova, and I started full-time right after graduation. So 18 years is quite a long time here, but so in my current role, I am the purchasing and contracts coordinator. So I oversee our competitive bidding process, our grants program. I also serve as the open records officer for the township.
Good. Well, I thank you both for joining me. You both do an excellent job for the township, and appreciate all your hard work and efforts. So when residents come in and you see these two folks, now you have some names attached to who they are. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, welcome back, and joining me now is Peggy Hagan. Peggy is one of our administrative assistants in our community development department. Peggy, thanks for joining me.
You're welcome.
Maybe if you just give me a little bit of a background about yourself, how long you've been with the township, and all the various areas you've been throughout the township.
I have been here for almost 14 years now. Started out part-time in the engineering department. From there, I moved on to the community development department, where I spent a few years, and then in the transition of managers, came upstairs to help out in the secretary's position. After that, went to Public Works, and then was brought back for community development.
Good, good. How have you liked your time being here with the township? And really, you've been on the front line of interacting with a lot of the residents and the businesses in town.
I think that's my favorite part, interacting with the people that come in. I love the positions that let me deal with people every day, talk to them. I've been fortunate to learn so many different areas that I can help them when they come in. It's a lot of fun. You know, everyone seems to have a good sense of humor and brings, you know, happiness to us when we come in. Even if they're upset when they first come in, usually we're giggling. Well, by the time they go, they're happy, I hope. And I've been fortunate to learn I've been given so many opportunities here, and so it's been great for me. I've learned, you know, grant work and buildings code and public works issues, so it's really been really fulfilling for me.
One of the things you were really involved with is the recycling coordinator for the township.
Yes.
And how big that is for Radnor.
Right. Yeah, I did that for probably 12 years. And we brought in quite a bit of money, you know, our normal average recycling money. We brought in money. We got a loader for Skunk Hollow. We got the tub grinder for Skunk Hollow. I think in the 10 years that I was doing it, I think we got maybe over $1 million.
Wow.
So, yeah, and that was fun.
Good, good. Well, Peggy's one of the people that you'll see when you come into the township here. If there's any questions or that, I know she does a great job working with residents and businesses. So, Peggy, thank you very much for joining me.
Thanks for having me.